Hey, Brad Burud here. Time for another edition of Flames Unfiltered Shorts. And as I sit here like on a Sunday and I spent the day cleaning out the garage, getting things ready for winter and having a cup of coffee, watching some football, I was thinking about last night's game. I'm thinking about the news we all got Saturday morning that Darryl Sutter had chose to go with Dan Vladar for the start. A decision that I don't know. I'm assuming it shocked most of you. It shocked me. Not a decision I was upset with, but a decision that was surprising and very uncharacteristic from what we saw last year. I think Dan Vladar is an amazing backup, and hell, he proved it on Saturday night that he's fully capable of winning big hockey games for this team. And that's exactly what you need in a backup. But the decision surprised me. Now, Vladar is coming off a strong preseason, a .942 save percentage in the preseason, arguably the best Flames player in preseason. I think he was. I knew Markstrom was ill the day prior to the opening game against Colorado. I thought Markstrom was fine in the Colorado game. I don't think he was great. I thought he was fine. And he won. He did his job, right? But to get the news that Vladar was starting was so uncharacteristic. It made me wonder a little bit. Was the news because Markstrom was ill again or not feeling 100%? Was it because Vladar had a really strong preseason? The one that scared me the most was it because Markstrom struggled so much last year in the playoffs against Edmonton and honestly in the regular season against Edmonton? I had said in a normal Flames Unfiltered podcast that I thought that Markstrom should get all 3 starts against the Oilers this year. Hopefully he shows well and he can squash that curse, I guess you'd want to call it. Markstrom downplayed the curse, said it's just another hockey team, just another opponent that they had to win against. And I believe him, but I can't help but believe that there is something in his head. Now, do I think that what's in his head is the reason that he doesn't do well against them? No, probably not. But he has struggled, and that is the truth. And when you think back to Darryl Sutter and some of the moves in net that he chose last year, some of them did fall back on previous history for that goalie and against that opponent, which I think is a good thing. But it was a factor in some of the things that we saw last year. Now, was that the factor? Now, Darryl Sutter comes out before the game and says there's 26 weeks in the season and we want Dan Vladar to get a start a week. Well, that's more than he got last year. And I don't disagree with that theory. Quite honestly, if Darryl Sutter sticks to that, I completely agree, because Markstrom will be so much more rested as we head to the playoffs. And some thought last year that one of the reasons he struggled in the Edmonton series, but don't forget, was very, very good in the Dallas series, was that he was tired. You know what, though? That's the easiest excuse in the books to come up with for a goaltender who's off his game. Now, 26 weeks in the season, and Vladar is going to start once a week. Okay. I'll believe that when I see it, because he's been known to, Sutter's been known to ride his top dog, and I'm not against that, but I do like this theory of 26 weeks, and Vladar gets 1 a week, because you know what? We're going to get a much more rested Markstrom when it's all said and done. Now, Dan Vladar played 23 games last year, and a couple of those he came in relief. He got 13 wins. He was 13-6-2 last year, so that's 18, 19. That's 21 starts are factored in a win or loss in 21 games. And now we're talking 26 for this year. I guess, that's honestly, if you just sat me down at the beginning of the year, that's probably what I would have said is about where we want to be. But what I'm curious is, is Markstrom, was he more ill than we thought? Was Sutter worried about Markstrom's play against the Oilers last year and knew it was important to get off to a good start and win game 1 of the Battle of Alberta this year? A Battle of Alberta that will only see 3 matchups between the two teams, which is ridiculously sad. Or is he truly going with the game a week for Vladar? I guess we'll see. I like that theory. And I like Dan Vladar's performance on Saturday night against the Edmonton Oilers. Big win for the Flames, 2-0 to start the year. Beat the Stanley Cup champs and the Western beat both teams that were in the Western Conference Finals last year. That's a pretty good way to start the season. Tuesday night, another tough test. Vegas comes to town. Wednesday, we record the new episode of Flames Unfiltered. Kyle will be joining us. Kyle Lewis, the other host of the show, will be on. He'll be remote from Ottawa, so he'll have a little shorter segment. And Nate Thomas is going to join the show this week for a segment on his thoughts on how the season's got going for the Calgary Flames. You'll remember him from last year. He was a guest quite frequently on the show. We'll be recording that Wednesday night, and you can look for a new episode of Flames Unfiltered on Thursday. Get on over to flamesunfiltered.com for all the details. You can check us out on Apple, Spotify, all the major podcast players, and a video version on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. 2-0 start for the Flames. Vladar looked good. Interesting decision to have him start on Saturday night. Thanks for joining us.